Well, thanks for having me. The verdict should not be decided by an administrator. It should be decided by scientists working on the data from 3I Atlas. And
the hum of distant machines filled the Pentagon's underground analysis wing as the final transmission flickered on the screen. The room was silent, no whispers, no tapping keys, just the frozen image of three glowing spheres suspended near the distant blur of 3I/ATLAS. What the cameras caught wasn't motion, it was stillness, and that was what terrified them most. Every major observatory across the planet had reported the same anomaly before their feeds were cut, an unexplainable data blackout synchronized to the second. In Hawaii, the Subaru telescope went offline mid-scan. In Chile, the Atacama Array returned a final snapshot of three luminous shapes before its transmission scrambled into static. And then, all at once, NASA's deep space monitors fell dark. The James Webb Space Telescope had been tracking 3I/ATLAS for months. Its infrared systems had revealed something impossible, a cluster of objects that didn't reflect sunlight or emit natural radiation. Then, as if aware it was being watched, the entire formation halted. Not slowed, not curved, it stopped. The data feed vanished seconds later, leaving only one corrupted image tagged Classified Priority Alpha. Inside the Pentagon, the Space Command boardroom was filled with tension. Defense analysts argued over whether it was a software error, an optical illusion, or something far worse. A senior astrophysicist whispered that the objects were maintaining perfect distance from one another, equidistant down to the millimeter. "That's not random drift," he said quietly. "That's control." Within hours, the Pentagon issued a Level 7 data lockdown. Every agency involved with space monitoring, NASA, ESA, Space Force, even civilian observatories, was ordered to halt transmission of all 3I/ATLAS data. The official explanation was hardware recalibration, but inside the secure servers, a new folder appeared under restricted access, Project Helios 5. Days later, an insider leaked fragments of the Webb data. It revealed that the Orbs weren't passive debris. They emitted pulses, light patterns that repeated in mathematical sequences, pi, the golden ratio, and binary code. Someone, or something, was broadcasting logic. The Pentagon analysts tried to decode it, but each attempt resulted in strange synchronization feedback that crashed their systems. Civilian scientists grew suspicious when their telescope data began vanishing remotely. A researcher from Arizona described how his telescope's storage drives wiped themselves, leaving behind only a single corrupted file filled with repeating numbers. Before he could analyze it, two men in plain suits visited the facility and confiscated the servers. He hasn't spoken publicly since. When independent astronomers tried reconstructing missing frames, they noticed that the orbs were resisting drift. Unlike natural objects, they stayed perfectly still relative to each other while the rest of space moved around them. It was as if they were locked into an invisible lattice, held by an unseen energy grid. Then came the radar anomalies. Space Force deep array sensors picked up electromagnetic distortions near 3I/ATLAS, fields so strong they bent local radiation patterns. A private contractor leaked that the magnetic resonance resembled those of fusion engines rather than cosmic dust. But propulsion shouldn't exist there, not naturally. That's when a classified meeting was held. Pentagon officials, astrophysicists, linguists, and military strategists gathered in silence as a digital reconstruction of the orbs glowed on the table's holographic display. Each orb pulsed in rhythm, not random, not chaotic, measured, communicative. A linguist compared the pulse intervals to quantum binary data, suggesting a deliberate message. Others proposed it was merely interference. But then, one of the orbs changed frequency, matching the resonance of Earth's Schumann field. The room fell silent. Someone whispered, "It's listening." Soon after, the Pentagon declared all materials related to 3I/ATLAS top secret. Observatories reporting anomalies were ordered offline for system maintenance. Social media users who posted telescope captures of three glowing lights in formation found their accounts deleted overnight. In early leaked footage, the orbs arranged into a perfect equilateral triangle, rotating slowly while maintaining absolute stability. Military statements called it optical distortion, yet internal memos revealed panic. The phrase "stationary orbs" was repeated across classified reports alongside a note, "non-gravitational stabilization confirmed." As scientists argued, something else emerged. Spectral readings of 3I/ATLAS showed metallic reflections, elements consistent with refined alloys, not natural rock or ice. It wasn't behaving like a comet. It was something else, something built. An internal document from Space Command mentioned field dampening signatures, a kind of energy bubble around the object that suppressed external forces. Theorists said it was impossible, yet deep space radar confirmed the orb's velocity relative to the sun had fallen to zero. Across the globe, other nations noticed. China, Russia, and the European Union activated satellite blind spots, quietly shifting observation arrays away from the target. Publicly, nothing was said. Privately, an unspoken agreement was forming. Stay quiet, stay blind. A week later, fragments of the erased data began to resurface. A group of independent astronomers reconstructed portions of the signal. The pulsing patterns weren't random. They encoded quantum resonance frequencies that mimicked communication protocols. "They're talking," one scientist said, "but not to us, to each other." As if to confirm it, footage from the International Space Station captured faint bursts of synchronized light across the black void, flashes that corresponded to the Webb's last transmission logs. Within hours, NASA's public data stream went offline again. Accounts that tried to repost the mirrored patterns found themselves erased. Posts disappeared, videos flagged, entire discussion threads scrubbed clean. Theorists noticed that each pulse from 3I/ATLAS matched a spike in the Earth's magnetosphere. Something up there was affecting us. The Pentagon's own classified memo described the orbs as objects of intentional design exhibiting non-Newtonian motion. That phrase leaked only once before being redacted from every document that followed. Ancient astronomers once mapped the skies using geometric alignments, believing gods traveled among the stars in circular craft. Now, modern scientists were watching the same geometry play out again. Perfect symmetry, golden angle ratios, cosmic positioning. The past was repeating, but through machinery of light. Suddenly, the orbs began rotating in unison, locking their axes toward Earth's magnetic north. Power surges rolled through major observatories as high-frequency interference fried their sensors. The Webb telescope's backup systems switched to emergency mode before going silent. The Air Force launched a classified drone into near orbit to track the phenomenon. It disappeared for 6 minutes. When telemetry returned, the feed was corrupted, filled with static and a faint, rhythmic hum. The engineers enhanced the audio. The hum wasn't random. It was structured, forming repeating sequences of 7 tones. An anonymous official claimed those tones corresponded to a digital handshake, a universal signal pattern used to initiate contact. "They responded," he said quietly. Someone out there answered. Within 24 hours, the Pentagon issued a total blackout. Every mention of 3I/ATLAS was scrubbed from official channels. Yet a leak from an Air Force frequency analyst suggested a terrifying discovery. The return signal wasn't just noise. Its data density matched that of a biological genome. Theorists began whispering about an encoded blueprint, something resembling DNA, but not human. Some linked it to the Anunnaki legends, others to the concept of seed ships carrying life through the cosmos. Whatever it was, it had purpose. Then, just as suddenly, the orbs vanished from radar. For 2 days, deep space monitors registered nothing. Then they reappeared, thousands of kilometers ahead of their original position, moving again. Only this time, their path wasn't random, it was aimed. James Webb's backup systems briefly came back online, capturing a fragmentary image, one of the orbs unfolding. Its surface split open, revealing symmetrical panels, like mechanical wings reflecting starlight. For 7 seconds, a pulse of pure light surged outward, directed straight toward Earth. The signal lasted exactly 7.23 seconds before vanishing. Moments later, several low-orbit satellites malfunctioned simultaneously. GPS systems glitched. Radio telescopes detected an echo, a mirrored signal rebounding from the moon. Whatever the pulse was, it wasn't noise. It was a reply. The Pentagon's Deep Survey Division, responsible for analyzing extraterrestrial data, was sealed indefinitely. Personnel were reassigned, records deleted. A classified memo surfaced briefly before being buried again. Its final line read, "They were waiting for us to look." Scientists piecing together what little remained concluded that 3I/ATLAS had been dormant for millennia, drifting silently until our instruments awakened it. Its orbs weren't drifting. They were aligning, adjusting, watching. Humanity had triggered an ancient observation protocol woven into the fabric of its design. As the orbs maintained their perfect formation, a final data burst hit Earth's magnetosphere. The frequency mirrored the DNA helix structure exactly. It was as if the message itself was encoded in the language of life. Then the signals stopped. The sky fell silent. The Webb telescope went permanently offline, and for the first time, every monitoring system on Earth recorded the same chilling truth. Those 3 orbs weren't celestial debris. They were sentinels. They hovered, watching, waiting, aligned not by chance, but by command. And somewhere deep within the Pentagon, behind sealed vault doors, the words were whispered in disbelief. They were never drifting. They were waiting. The silence didn't last long. Within 48 hours of the orb's last recorded pulse, deep space receivers in Australia began picking up a faint, repeating echo. It wasn't in the same frequency band as the earlier signals. This one was lower, almost infrasonic, resonating through the planet's magnetic field rather than traveling through space. Military analysts called it ghost data, but a few scientists knew better. It was a harmonic reflection, an aftershock of something vast. The echo wasn't static. It contained structure, fractal repetition that mirrored organic growth patterns. The more the signal was analyzed, the clearer it became. It was evolving. Each new cycle contained additional data, as if something or someone was learning. When Space Command's analysts plotted the frequency spikes, they formed a perfect map of the orb's previous triangular alignment. The shape pointed directly toward the moon. At first, they dismissed it as coincidence. But when NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter began transmitting interference patterns in the same frequency range, the Pentagon realized it wasn't random. The moon was responding. Inside a secure underground lab in Maryland, a joint NASA-Pentagon team tried decoding the low-frequency pulses. Using AI-assisted spectral decryption, they discovered repeating sequences of base pair analogs, simulations of DNA code translated into radio form. Embedded within was a temporal signature, a precise timestamp corresponding to the moment James Webb first detected 3 I/ATLAS. It was as if the message was marking the beginning of an event. Then came a new anomaly. High-orbit satellites began to register tiny, transient objects blinking into existence around Earth's upper atmosphere. They appeared for only milliseconds, then vanished, but always in trios. Optical scans showed faint spheres of light, small versions of the orbs near 3 I/ATLAS. Analysts called them microprobes. They seemed to be mapping electromagnetic fields, adjusting to something unseen. Global governments were warned not to comment. Civilian radar systems were quietly recalibrated to exclude non-cooperative transients. Amateur astronomers were told the blips were cosmic rays, but encrypted transmissions between defense agencies told another story. The microprobes were forming a lattice around Earth, perfectly matching the geometry of the original orbs. Theorists speculated that Earth had triggered an ancient defense or observation grid, something not of human origin. One classified report stated bluntly, "The orbs are establishing resonance stabilization. Planetary mapping in progress." Another added, "They are not attacking, they are measuring." Power grids across several countries experienced unexplained frequency fluctuations. Clocks drifted out of sync. Magnetometers in Antarctica spiked violently, registering waves that traveled faster than any known electromagnetic phenomenon. The orb's resonance had begun to affect the planet itself. Meanwhile, at the James Webb Backup Control Center, engineers recovered one final corrupted frame before the telescope's systems went permanently dark. The image showed the surface of one orb, smooth as obsidian but etched with faint hexagonal patterns. Patterns identical to those found in ancient Sumerian depictions of the sky wheels said to descend from the heavens. Scholars couldn't explain it, but the resemblance was undeniable. Whistleblowers began connecting threads that officials refused to acknowledge. The orb's triangulation aligned perfectly with the coordinates of ancient monuments, the Great Pyramids, Stonehenge, and the ruins of Göbekli Tepe. It wasn't random positioning, it was calibration, as though the orbs were synchronizing with energy nodes across the planet. When confronted, the Pentagon issued a vague statement about natural orbital alignments, but internal documents leaked hours later painted a different picture. A program labeled Covenant Array had been reactivated, an experimental network built to monitor signals beyond the solar system. The memo mentioned one terrifying detail: resonance breach confirmed, incoming synchronization wave detected. The wave hit 2 days later. Every magnetometer on Earth spiked simultaneously. Compasses spun uncontrollably. Auroras appeared over the equator, brilliant, silent curtains of light cascading through the night sky. They weren't caused by solar activity. The light came from above, radiating downward, pulsing in the same rhythm as the orb's last signal. In the confusion, a low-orbit Space Force satellite captured something unbelievable. The orbs, now much closer, had shifted again. Their movement wasn't linear. They phased forward, blinking in and out of dimensional space as if teleporting through invisible corridors. Each time they reappeared, they were closer, their light brighter, their formation tighter. In a secured Pentagon briefing, analysts displayed trajectory data showing that the orbs would reach the vicinity of the moon within 72 hours, yet their velocity didn't match propulsion mechanics. It was as if they were folding space itself, skipping through unseen layers of reality. The phrase quantum displacement appeared repeatedly in the report. NASA scientists tried to warn the public by embedding clues in academic publications, but every paper referencing 3I/ATLAS orbital anomalies vanished within hours. The government wanted silence, but the world had already noticed. Amateur astronomers began live streaming the strange lights near the moon. Millions watched as the orbs formed a new triangle, this time pointing directly at Earth. Then came the hum. Not from the sky, but from within the planet itself. Low, resonant, bone-deep vibrations echoed through mountains and oceans. It lasted 6 minutes and 37 seconds. Seismographs registered the sound as a global resonance, impossible yet undeniable. When the hum faded, the orbs stopped moving. Every monitoring satellite showed the same frame. The 3 orbs suspended between Earth and Moon, perfectly aligned, motionless. But something else appeared, a faint halo of light surrounding the entire formation, like a gateway shimmering between dimensions. Theorists speculated it was a communication array, a bridge, maybe even a transport mechanism. Others whispered darker theories, that the orbs were preparing to release something. At 2:17 UTC, an encrypted feed from the Deep Survey Division leaked for only 60 seconds before being purged. The footage showed one orb opening again, its panels folding outward like petals. Inside, a dense core of pulsing light expanded, forming geometric shapes, tetrahedrons, spirals, and fractals, symbols found in ancient carvings across the world. The core released a final pulse toward Earth. Every communication satellite simultaneously shut down. Air traffic control lost contact with thousands of flights. Internet backbones across continents flickered out. In the darkness, a strange luminescence filled the night sky, streams of color twisting silently like auroras yet forming distinct patterns. Some observers swore they could hear whispers within the hum, words that weren't human. When systems finally rebooted, astronomers found that 3I/ATLAS itself had disappeared from its predicted position. It was gone, completely. The orbs, too, were nowhere to be found. Only faint traces of energy lingered where they had been, resonating at frequencies just above measurable sound. A few days later, a classified Space Force memo reached a handful of insiders. It contained an image taken seconds before total blackout, a massive shadow behind the orbs, stretching thousands of kilometers wide, almost invisible against the cosmic background. Whatever it wasn't a comet. The memo ended with a single line: observation complete. Sequence initiated. Whistleblowers claim that soon after, deep radar arrays beneath Cheyenne Mountain detected an anomaly beneath the moon's surface, an artificial cavity pulsing with identical resonance. Theorists say the orbs weren't alien ships, but keys, activating something ancient, buried long before human civilization began. The Pentagon officially denied all of it, but anonymous insiders leaked that a new task force, Project Seraph, had been formed to study the moon's subsurface echo. Its mission parameters were marked beyond conventional threat. Meanwhile, subtle electromagnetic patterns began repeating daily around the planet. Tiny pulses too faint for most instruments, but enough to disrupt birds, whales, and magnetic navigation systems. The pattern matched the sequence of the orb's earlier pulse, 7 tones perfectly spaced. By now, the public had moved on. News cycles shifted. The story became conspiracy fodder. But in deep government archives, new data was being analyzed. Radio shadows, faint yet structured, repeating the same signal again and again. The orbs weren't gone. They had integrated into the fabric of our planet's magnetic field, hiding in resonance, watching, waiting, adjusting. Weeks later, a technician at a classified lunar relay center claimed to hear a voice embedded in static. When decoded, it was a sequence of tones translating into one English phrase: Phase 2 activated. And once again, the world went silent. While deep beneath the Pentagon, monitors flickered back to life, displaying 3 familiar points of light reappearing on the far side of the moon. They weren't drifting, they were aligning again. The Pentagon went into blackout protocol again. Entire sections of their command network were sealed off, and only a handful of individuals with Omega clearance were granted access to the live feed. Behind layers of encrypted firewalls, the same 3 orbs glowed on the screens, motionless, but somehow alive. They floated just beyond the lunar limb, their light bending faintly around them as if warping space itself. The new data stream that accompanied the images was unlike anything analysts had ever encountered. It wasn't binary, not electromagnetic, not quantum telemetry. It was rhythmic, an oscillation encoded in frequency harmonics that bypassed normal data processing entirely. The orbs weren't transmitting information in the conventional sense, they were resonating through matter itself. When scientists tried to isolate the waveform, they discovered something chilling. The frequency pattern matched the oscillation of human brainwaves during REM sleep. The implication was immediate and terrifying. The signal wasn't just being sent to machines, it was targeting consciousness. Within hours, reports started flooding in from around the world. People described vivid dreams of geometric landscapes, spiraling tunnels of light, and 3 spheres suspended above silver plains. Many woke with ringing in their ears and metallic tastes in their mouths. Medical scans revealed synchronized bursts of neural activity during sleep cycles, coinciding precisely with the orb transmissions. Inside the Pentagon's Deep Survey Lab, a neuroscientist whispered, "They're inside the resonance field now. They're mapping us." Her words were stricken from the official record, but recordings from that night leaked through anonymous channels weeks later. Meanwhile, lunar seismic sensors began detecting faint tremors beneath the moon's surface. The readings came from the same coordinates where radar had previously identified the mysterious cavity. Engineers tried to probe deeper, but the data stream inverted, sending back signals that mirrored their own input. It was as though the moon was responding, mimicking their transmissions. Then came the third blackout. Communications between Earth and lunar orbit cut out completely for nearly 12 minutes. When connection returned, several satellites had repositioned themselves without command input. Their new alignment formed a perfect mirror image of the orb triangle. Space Force Command was silent. During that silence, something else occurred, something the public never knew. A small probe launched secretly toward the orbs managed to transmit 3 images before vanishing. The first showed the luminous surface up close, shimmering like liquid metal. The second showed strange symbols forming and dissipating across its shell. The third showed a reflection, not of space, but of Earth. The entire surface of one orb was mirroring the planet as though studying every detail of its terrain and magnetic field. The Pentagon's internal report labeled the event mirror phase initiation. One analyst noted a disturbing correlation. In ancient Sumerian myth, divine orbs were said to record the face of creation. The parallels were too strong to ignore. At the same time, magnetic fluctuations began appearing around specific Earth locations, regions historically tied to megalithic structures. Stonehenge, Giza, Machu Picchu, Baalbek, all registered identical resonance spikes. Field researchers placed magnetometers across the sites and recorded a pulsing pattern identical to the orb signals. The Earth's energy grid, dormant for millennia, was being reawakened. Satellite imagery from the European Space Agency showed thin, invisible columns of distortion linking those sites to points high in the atmosphere. Subtle warps in the ionosphere visible only in infrared. It was as if Earth itself had become part of the alignment network. When questioned, the Pentagon spokesperson simply said, "No unusual activity detected." But off record, a general admitted that the orb's synchronization with terrestrial energy points suggested a planetary scale calibration process, something that required Earth's participation, not its permission. Then, unexpectedly, all activity ceased again. The orbs dimmed, the frequencies flattened. The world exhaled, briefly believing the event was over. But deep in Antarctica, seismic sensors picked up a pulse, one single shockwave that traveled upward from beneath the ice. An automated research drone captured the phenomenon, a column of blue-white light piercing through the frozen crust, visible for less than a second before vanishing. The coordinates matched a buried magnetic anomaly scientists had identified decades earlier, but never explained. Now it pulsed in perfect harmony with the lunar orbs. Theorists speculated the truth no one wanted to say aloud. Earth wasn't being invaded, it was being activated. The orbs were synchronizing something ancient within the planet itself, something that had lain dormant beneath ice, stone, and ocean for longer than human civilization had existed. In the following days, tidal patterns shifted subtly, gravity sensors fluctuated, and auroras appeared even in daylight. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station reported feeling vibrations through the hull, though no mechanical explanation could be found. One cosmonaut described looking out the viewport and seeing a silver haze connecting Earth and Moon, a faint bridge of light stretching across space. The Pentagon's Emergency Committee convened one final classified meeting. A transmission had been detected from the far side of the Moon. It wasn't electromagnetic, it was gravitational. 3 pulses, precisely timed. The waveform, when converted to audio, formed an unmistakable phrase in human linguistic structure: alignment complete. After that, 3 I/ATLAS disappeared from all sensors again, as though erased from existence. Yet deep beneath the Pentagon, seismic instruments continued to pick up residual vibrations from the lunar surface. Low, steady, endless. Months later, an unmarked disk crashed in the Nevada desert. Recovery teams arrived within minutes. Inside the scorched crater, they found not debris, but a perfectly smooth metallic sphere no larger than a basketball, humming with the same subsonic frequency as the orbs. When researchers placed it under containment, the sphere reacted to human proximity, projecting faint holographic images, maps of Earth covered in thousands of tiny points of light. At the center of the projection was a glowing triangle. Beneath it, a single word appeared in an unknown language. When translated through frequency-based AI models, it meant simply, observation successful. After that, the object went dormant, but at random intervals, it would emit a short pulse, exactly every 7.23 seconds, the same duration as the Webb telescope's final recorded signal. Those with access to the classified archive believe the orbs never left. They simply transitioned beyond visible space, maintaining a quantum resonance link with their smaller counterparts now hidden across the world. Each pulse, each frequency, is a heartbeat in a network older than our species. To this day, no one outside the highest circles knows the truth of Project Helios 5's conclusion. The final line of its sealed report reads, "They are neither alien nor divine. They are custodians. We are the anomaly." And somewhere beyond the lunar shadow, 3 faint lights pulse once more, perfectly synchronized, unmoving, unwavering, waiting.